York and lose Jason Tatum, maybe for the rest of the season, maybe for most of next season in the process. And we'll talk about that with Mego tomorrow. You could talk about that all day long here on Boston Sports Original, WEEI. And, Curtis, I'm working on our customer wait time, so I got to get to Kyle, who has been on hold for a while. Kyle, what's up?
How's it going?
What's up?
So, two things about the Celtics. First, I think we definitely overrated being so much more talented than every other team, and you guys still continue to say it, but Jalen Brunson has outplayed both of our top 25, 300 million max players, especially at the end of the game when it's most important. In the last 3 minutes of these close games, he has by far been the best player on the floor. And then even your fourth, fifth, sixth guys, Drew Holiday, Porzingis, and Peyton Pritchard, sixth man of the year, have basically been nowhere in this series, while Obi-Wan Kenobi and their role players have outplayed us, Josh Hart. So the talent gap, I think it kind of evened out this year as we got older with Horford and Drew Holiday and Derek White, and Tatum and Brown got a year older too. We don't have all the youth that these other teams have. And at the end of the game, not having a real point guard, it kills us because Jason Tatum is in between trying to prove a point, and Joe Mazzulla clearly can't get any type of offense around because we don't have a point guard to get us into offense, especially at the end of the game, because Jason Tatum is just trying to play hero ball and prove a point.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it help
Kyle,
though, if you had a coach that could diagram something to get Jason Tatum the ball in a fortuitous position where he could score?
Yeah, I mean, he does make a good point, though, and that's what frustrates me, too, and I've said this before, is like they don't – when Jason Tatum plays, I think we said this watching at the game at the Swizzle Inn.
Yeah.
Like when Tatum plays the point.
That was right after you ordered another dark and horny.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I believe it's a dark and sweet.
Okay, yes.
Or dark and sexy.
Okay, yeah.
And the problem is.
Have a dark and lovely on me, Greg.
Is I think that you try to create offense, but you also try to be a point guard. Whereas if they had a real point guard, they could create opportunities where Tatum could be off the ball and maybe get it in other areas. So, and Kyle wasn't lying though. Their team is just outplaying you right now.
Well, I mean, is it a fair argument to say that the roster difference talent-wise was overestimated by everybody?
No, They're much better. They've been up 20 or more points in almost every game. They were up by 11 to 15 again last night. They were up 11 at the half. They're a much better team.
But when it matters, their roster is outperforming you when it matters most, and that's third and fourth.
They couldn't miss in the fourth quarter yesterday.
But that's a different argument.
Okay, so that's the argument I would say. Then.
It's worse for the Celtics if you agree that they are more talented,
right?
And just aren't there when you need them to be.
Right. That's what it is, though. Because you look at Mikal Bridges last night, I think it was in maybe game 1 or game 2 with Obi-Wan Kenobi late in the game. Jalen Brunson's been there throughout, so you give him credit. He's been there throughout, but it's been a different guy almost, or a different couple of guys every game at the end of these games.
Yeah.
And when you're looking for guys, Drew Holiday has a great look. Derek White gets invisible. Pete Pritch gets invisible. At the end of the games, their others are outperforming you at the end of the game.
But it's a neat little trick that Kyle pulled there, where now all of a sudden the Celtics don't have a point guard. Well, whoever was leading the offense got you up by 30 and 20 and 11 in all these games. At the end of games, you need to be disciplined. You need to have a plan. I look at that shot at the end of the third quarter as emblematic of what this offense is. It's stagnant. When they don't have it, when they're not in transition, they have no. What's their offense? What are their set plays?
Their offense is a pick and roll pull up. That's what their offense is, or a double pick pull-up is what their offense is, or give it to Jaylen Brown, and then he tries to isolate and get into the paint. Without Porzingis, you don't have that pick and roll kind of lob to the rim.
He's right about Al Horford being a year older.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know if Drew Holiday just played out of himself last season, but he has not been. He's not what he was last season.
No, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
But rosters alone, Greg, tomorrow night at the Garden, without Jason Tatum, they are 4.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're
They
4.5
have a better
points better
roster.
without
I think
Tatum.
we all
with
agree.
But then
I think we all agree with you, Curtis. They do have a better roster, and I think it's by a pretty good margin. The problem that I think, Greg, you just pointed out, and it is kind of it's very disappointing, is that at the end of the games, your guys that you expect to be doing well are disappearing.
This is the difference between a choke and an upset. What they're doing is choking.
Yeah.
It's not an upset.
Yeah. All right. We're in Bermuda at the beautiful Grotto Bay Beach Resort. Wiggy will be. Are you going pool or ocean today?
I'm going ocean because I feel like you can get a pool anywhere,
Yeah.
but you can't get this type of water everywhere. So I always go ocean.
A lot of questions about whether you're going to venture into the caves. We have caves on property here.
Yeah, I guess it's up to the lovely wife on whether or not we go into the caves.
There's
Wow.
Mrs.
Wiggy
Wiggins.
just almost fell off his chair looking at the missus.
Mrs. Wiggins is here.
She looks gorgeous
She
this
does.
morning.
Gorge.
I don't know if she's. Are you still angry about the plane incident with the flight attendant?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I
Oh,
am.
yeah,
She
no,
says.
stop lying.
Yeah,
you
she
set
is.
me up for the alley-oop.
Yes, she is.
Don't hate now.
All right.